What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome into the Bulls Report. And my name is Patrick Siepman. And coming up on today's show, we're going to be discussing two, and I guess maybe a third topic as well. The first topic we're going to be talking about is a Lonzo Ball injury update. It's bad, and it's big news for the Chicago Bulls. And then we're also be talking about Zach LaVine and the New York Knicks trade that has been floating around during the NBA offseason. And there's a report that this trade is potentially dead, and we'll be diving into all that and more. But I do want to start with this before we get into the rest of today's show, because this drove me crazy when I saw this last night. When asked about Bulls fans being disappointed about the team, Chicago Bulls basketball chief Arturas Karnisovas responded by saying that fans should wait and see how the team looks after free agency. The thing is, AK, there's not too many moves the Bulls can make that are going to make me happy during free agency. There are not many top-end talent players. Like, the best options you probably have are a Chris Middleton or a Fred VanVleet. And this is almost indicating to me that the Bulls might be going all in. And we'll kind of dive into that a little more about maybe the Bulls actually think they're good and they are going to run it back. But, guys, if you guys want to become a more informed Bulls fan, hit that subscribe button, because free agency is just around the corner. And shocking enough, it does seem like the Bulls are going to be active during free agency. I disagree with the move. Being kind of active and aggressive, I think the Bulls should have blown this up. But make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, stay in the loop. Any free agency news, rumors, whatever it is, we'll keep you in touch. But Daniel Greenberg, he had this bombshell report yesterday, and it's just disappointing. He says Chicago Bulls basketball chief Arturas Karnisovas, he said that the expectation is that Lonzo Ball will not play this upcoming season. And we saw this coming, but it still sucks. Like, just the basketball player side of me and just man-to-man kind of relationship with Lonzo Ball, kind of just thinking about it from his perspective, like, this is incredibly depressing because we've seen Lonzo Ball. Like, he came into the league his rookie year. He had that kind of funky jump shot that didn't really translate well to the modern-day NBA, and we've seen him work on it where he completely moved it over to the right side of his body, and he was able to hit threes during that 2021-2022 season when he was really the catalyst of this Bulls offense. Like, Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, they had great years in that first half. But Lonzo was a key kind of catalyst and just a playmaker for them. Like, he got LaVine and DeRozan so many easy shots. But then that three-point percentage, like, he got it up to 42.3% from deep that year. He was fantastic, and he was one of the main reasons why the Bulls, before he got hurt, people forget that 2021 season, Lonzo Ball had the Bulls at first in the Eastern Conference, and the Bulls were starting to look like a wagon. And just 2021 Lonzo, he was special. We kind of finally saw him kind of coming into his own, but then he had the knee injury, and it was supposed to be 6 to 8 weeks. And it was like, oh, he might not be ready for the start of next season. And then he just didn't end up playing last year, and now we're kind of at, he's probably not going to play at all next season. It just sucks. Like, I just feel bad for the guy. Like, Lonzo Ball, like, if he would have stayed healthy, I don't think that Bulls team could have maybe won a championship, but maybe they could have made an Eastern Conference final. And maybe we could have been looking at Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic, kind of this core in a completely different light. But Lonzo Ball going hurt and kind of having your point guard that can guard 1 through 3, him going down was a huge loss, and the Bulls just weren't really able to recover. That 2021 season, though, man, Lonzo was special. Just so my kind of just heart goes out to him. But guys, Bulls fans, let's come together right now. Let's do this as a team. Let's do this as a community. Show Lonzo Ball some love. Type Zoe down in the comments. I honestly want to see 2,000 Zoes down in the comments today, because this is just a depressing story for him. And I'm hoping the best for him. I'm hoping he can kind of fully recover and get back to who he was, or even just 80% of who he was, because that's a special player in the modern day NBA. So spam Zoe down in the comments section to show our man Lonzo some love. Now let's talk about it. Is a Zach LaVine Knicks trade dead? This was actually reported during the NBA draft yesterday. It was actually Stefan Bondi who broke it down at first. He says, the Bulls are reportedly gauging interest in all-star guard, which we knew, which prompted speculation that the Knicks, who are strapped with future draft assets, would get involved. But this was the key nugget here. But a source said the LaVine camp isn't interested in dealing with the Knicks, who have a reputation around the league of favoring clients of CAA, the agency that employed Leon Rose before his move to the Knicks front office. And this is interesting because we know Zach LaVine is a Clutch client, and we've always kind of heard about the beef between Clutch and CAA. And I just think this is interesting because I wonder if this would be something where the Bulls go to LaVine and say, hey, we got a deal set on the table. We'll send you to New York. We think it's just right to kind of rip this Band-Aid off and move on and rebuild. Like, I wonder if LaVine's camp said, we won't go to New York. We won't play there. Like, obviously, LaVine doesn't have a no-trade clause, but if you tell your front office and you kind of make it publicly known that you don't want to play for the New York Knicks, the Knicks aren't going to trade for you, and obviously the Bulls won't trade you to the Knicks. But overall, I do think LaVine should have been dealt yesterday. Like, I just thought you had an opportunity, especially we've seen draft picks. Like, people were giving up picks in the 20s to be a salary filler. Like, I just thought maybe a team would have gotten desperate yesterday and said, you know what, we'll give a draft pick right now, and we'll go all in on Zach LaVine. Obviously, the pipe dream of Scoot Henderson is dead, which is probably the worst news that I got yesterday. But LaVine's a hell of a player, and I think any championship contender would love to have him. The one thing that sticks out to me automatically with LaVine is that three-point shooting, man. Like, he is probably one of the more underrated shooters in the league, especially from a catch-and-shoot standpoint. But he's a consistent 25 a game. And I do want to point out that 2021-2022 season, he was incredibly efficient that year. And that was probably, obviously 2020 was his best year from a statistical perspective. But what Lonzo and him had going in that backcourt in that 2021 season, it was special. And LaVine actually, his deep dive into his defensive analytics that year in 2021, he was actually way better than any other year in his career. But his advanced shooting numbers, why I would have thought that a team might have kind of thrown the Bulls a massive haul yesterday. He's catch and shoot at 41.6%, the pull-up three at 34.2%, and then he's obviously great at getting to the rack with that athleticism. His less than 10-foot field goal percentage sat around 62.7. I just felt LaVine should have been dealt yesterday. A little disappointed he was not. But let me know, do you think he gets dealt during this kind of free agency period and leading up to the 2023-2024 NBA season? Will Zach LaVine be a Bull next season? Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. Let's dive into this a little more because the Chicago Bulls think they are good at basketball. And actually, if you guys went on Twitter yesterday, Patrick Beverley was going back and forth with Bulls fans, and he kept bringing up the post-All-Star game record. If you look up his tweet, he kept going back at fans tweeting about him saying, the Bulls should rebuild, the Bulls should rebuild. And he kept saying, oh, look at our record post-All-Star break. The thing is, I don't really care. You weren't really that good of a team. And Daniel Greenberg had this interesting quote or tweet yesterday, and it just sucks. Pretty much saying that the ownership is willing to go into the luxury tax. So I expect the Bulls to be active during free agency. Could they bring in a guy like Chris Middleton, who we were linked to about like a couple weeks ago if you were to decline his player option? Obviously, you ended up doing so. So could you go get a guy like Chris Middleton? The Bulls kind of need a pure three at that spot. I'm not sure, but the fact that they're willing to go into the luxury tax right now, I just feel like the Bulls, they know they made a mistake with this big three, and instead of just kind of ripping the Band-Aid off and admitting you were wrong, it's almost like they're doubling down on their poor move, and I just completely disagree. And then obviously they're going to address this was also a kind of another quote from AK's little press conference after the NBA draft. He said they're going to address shooting in free agency. So you think about guys like Seth Curry, he ends up opting out, and then a guy like Fred VanVleet. Chris Middleton, like I just mentioned, those guys are good shooters as well. And the Bulls do need shooting. Like I said this all offseason, no matter what direction the Bulls go in, shooting has to be what they address. Like they were a poor shooting team this year. They didn't even shoot threes at a high volume. They shot it at a low percentage. Like just overall as a team, they need to get just some more catch-and-shoot shooters because besides LaVine, they don't really have too many. But my prediction with the Bulls, and it sucks, but I think this is what they're going to do. I think the Bulls are going to try to run it back. I don't think LaVine gets dealt, and I think they're going to be floating around 500 at the trade deadline, and then I think they're going to decide to blow it up. I think it's going to be massive trades at the upcoming trade deadline where the Bulls do end up finally moving off Zach LaVine, DeMar, and Nikola Vucevic. We actually heard that Nikola Vucevic could be maybe taking a hometown discount to stay with the Bulls. I could see all three of those guys being dealt during the season. But also, it wouldn't shock me if the Bulls are even 2 games above 500, and they're like, we can go on a playoff run. Did you see the Miami Heat last year? They were the 8th seed, and they made it to the NBA Finals. The thing is, you're not the Heat. You don't have the culture that they have. You don't have the coaching that they have. Probably the biggest coaching difference in the league would be Eric Spoelstra versus Billy Donovan. So that's my prediction with the Bulls. I think they're going to try to run it back. It's not going to work out, and they'll blow it up at the trade deadline. But, guys, the Bulls are going to be active during free agency, so might as well hit that subscribe button. Stay along for the ride with me. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Who knows? This could always just be smoke, and they do end up getting a trade package for LaVine or DeMar or Vooch that they really like, and they can end up taking it. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, stay in the loop, and as always, go Bulls.